It's 10:06. I've asked our treasurer, Monica Wolforth, if we'd all stand and she'd lead us in the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, let's get started. We have two items. Item 2A is presentation on the operations within the assessor's office, updates on changes within the assessor's office,
For a menu of available
and
commands,
updates on
press
approved and
star
governor-signed
1. There is one
legislation
other
that
caller
affects
on the
the
call.
assessor's office. And we have the assessor herself here, Shara Cassie. Good morning.
Good morning. Hope that doesn't fall off. Well, good morning, Chair and members of the board. As you stated, I'm Shara Cassie. I'm the newly elected assessor. I want to thank you for the opportunity to present today on my department, and thank all those in attendance today. Today I'll be talking about the assessor's office operations, updates within the assessor's office, and legislation affecting the assessor's office. It works. So in my opinion, operations can be divided into two categories, team and teamwork. We have no operations without the team, and to have great operations, you have to have teamwork. So I have a great team. A team that was already in place when I came on board, for the most part, with a couple of exceptions, who have been steadfast through tough times and uncertainties and have become a stronger team for it. Okay, so I'll start at the top with me, the assessor, boss lady. As the elected leader of the department, I am legally responsible for the decisions we make. As such, I must stay up to date with all laws and regulations and ensure complete compliance by my team in valuing the real property and business personal property in our county. I must also stay informed on the happenings within Gila County as it relates to property and assessments, and ensure good relationships with all other departments and special districts to help maintain accurate and complete parcel files. I must also stay connected to the communities in Gila County and the people within those communities, what they need, and can I fulfill it. Being a leader is more than telling people what to do. It's about listening and leading by example. Everything I do affects my team and my constituents. Here's a visual on the organizational chart within my department, with me at the head, my two chiefs, and the team members that they are directly over, with Christina being over all of the appraisers and field data technicians, and Micah Wheeler being over the rest. So next we have Micah Wheeler, my Chief Deputy Assessor. The title I'm giving him is the Overseer of the Department. Micah has been with the Assessor's Office for just over 10 years, with his 10-year anniversary this past February. Micah was asked to step up and provide leadership prior to my arrival, and he did so humbly and diligently. Micah's role as my second in command has been a tremendous help to me and to the rest of the team. Mike has been extremely helpful in educating me and transitioning those things to me that should have been with the assessor all along, making his job less stressful and being focused on only his job. The Chief Deputy Assessor is responsible for department strategic goals and objectives related to effectively administering all laws and regulations regarding property taxation to ensure that Gila County property is valued fairly and accurately. This position involves working closely with the Board of Supervisors and all county management, developing our annual budget, and staying informed with legislation. Christina Hext, we call her Chris. She is my chief appraiser, and I've given her the title, the mentor of the department. Chris has been with the assessor's office since April 2017. During this time, Chris has provided leadership not only to the appraisers under her, but also to the staff as a whole. Chris's role as my second in command over the appraisers has been a godsend to me and the rest of the team. Prior to my election, Chris was also called to step outside her role and make decisions that the assessor should have been making. Chris filled her role and the added leadership with professionalism, using her vast knowledge to assist Micah and lead the team. The chief appraiser is responsible for valuing and classifying taxable property within Gila County in a fair and equitable manner, based on market adjustments in the Arizona revised statutes, and work petitions and defend valuations and classifications of properties in court. Next, we have Yvonne House. She's my office coordinator, and she's the cohesion of the department. Yvonne came to us by way of the recorder's office in January 2021, and along the way has helped to bring everyone together to successfully reach our goals. She has a remarkable way with people and is the smiling face the public sees in Payson. We are truly blessed to have her. The office coordinator provides assistance to taxpayers in a variety of programs, including the senior valuation, protection, and exemption programs. This position coordinates with me and the chief deputy to create and administer budgeting and billing for the assessor's office, and maintains many of the non-appraisal related systems that are a function of the assessor's office. Next, we have Matthew Norcross. He's my CAMA guy and also the problem solver of the department. Matthew is one of several team members that came to the assessor's office in 2024. Matthew has provided stellar work for the assessor's office. He sees an area of concern and provides potential solutions. We are fortunate to have him, but we will unfortunately be losing him because he's going back to school to get his degree. So we have that position posted. CAMA stands for Computer Assisted Mass Appraisal. The CAMA program administrator maintains the department's database application through research and compilation, ensuring integrity of records, working closely with the IT department. Next, we have Mary. That is a Y, but it looks like a U there. Mary Miskamen, title examiner, and the title I'm giving her is the Carpe Diem of the department. Mary is another 2024 gain, taking over a position that really didn't have any procedural guidance for her, and she has muddled her way through in her learning with the help of Micah and Chris. She's doing a great job, learning along the way to do her job better and better. Mary's not afraid of a situation and always takes the bull by the horns and seizes the day. The title examiner conveys and maintains correct ownership of real property in the county, updates and maintains taxing authority codes, and provides public record and sales information. Next, we have Brandon Sawyer. He's my mapping technician, and his title, I skipped one, my apologies, and his title, Steady Hand of the Department. Brandon has also came to us in 2024, stepping into a fluid position with the mapping changes from the CAD system to GIS and over to Tom Homan's department. Brandon has rolled with the changes, eager to learn more about GIS once that transition is complete. No matter what comes at Brandon, he approaches it with a calm demeanor. Brandon has been a pleasure to have on the team, and we are fortunate to have him. The mapping technician maintains an accurate visual record of property ownership that is easy for Gila County citizens to follow. This position also maintains and archives maps and records, provides customer service, conducts research, and fulfills requests by property owners, such as the processing of splits and combinations. Next is Lily Pangallo. She is the assessor's aide and the generosity of the department. Lily came in with me. I saw a real gem in Lily and asked her to come work with me as my aide. She's been a great addition, doing whatever is needed. She's always ready and willing to help anyone. The assessor's aide provides customer service at the front counter and over the telephone, performs data entry tasks, and maintains filing. This position is also to assist the assessor in whatever they need. Next, we have Cheryl Wellington. She's property appraiser level 2 and the pillar of the department. Cheryl has been with us since 2005 and will reach her 20-year anniversary in August. Her knowledge is invaluable, and her easygoing demeanor makes her a top-notch trainer for property appraisal. We are extremely blessed to have her, and I don't think I will ever let her retire. The Property Appraiser 2 position discovers, identifies, locates, and appraises all taxable property within Gila County for tax valuation purposes. This position requires proficient use and application of both Arizona Department of Revenue, taxation codes, Arizona Revised Statutes, Title 42, as well as advanced knowledge of commercial properties utilizing the income approach to value. Next, we have Rebecca Taft. She's also a property appraiser level 2, and she's the heart of the department. Rebecca has been with the assessor's office since 2016. She truly cares about her job and the people she works with. Rebecca brings a soft strength to the team and utilizes her wealth of knowledge in providing accurate data on property appraisals. She is a treasure to have. Amy Lloyd is also a property appraiser level 2, and she's the editor of the department. Amy also came to us in 2016 and has provided excellent work for the department over the years. Amy has an in-depth way of looking at things. Her ability to find errors in what we provide has helped us maintain accurate information internally and for the public. Diana Moore, she's our property appraiser level 1, and she's the humor of the department. Diana started her time with us in 2018, providing excellent appraisal services for the department. Diana has the ability to provide a much needed release for the stress of the job. I look forward to a day with Diana and her lighthearted attitude. She's a joy to be around, and I'm over the moon to have her. Property appraiser level 1 position also appraises property for tax assessment purposes and acts as a contact for the public. James Sullivan is also a property appraiser level 1, and he is my phlegmatic of the department. James started with us in 2022 and just celebrated 3 years in March. James keeps his composure no matter the situation and has the ability to listen to upset taxpayers without even showing a facial gesture. So he's really great at that. Emilio Rocha is my field data technician, and he's the courage of the department. Emilio is our final 2024 gain, coming to us in July last year. Emilio is eager to learn and improve, and I am impressed with his ability and willingness to face uncertainty and keep going. The field data technician position is trained in technical work of gathering property appraisal information and is under close supervision. This job is not a property appraiser, though it is seen as the entry level to becoming an appraiser. Yesenia Lee, also a field data technician. She's the freshness of the department. Yesenia is our newest addition, coming to us in April. She is already showing very promising work in handling the business, personal property, and mobile home accounts, and I look forward to learning her abilities and what she sees with fresh eyes. We also have a summer intern this year that I did not get up on the slides. Her name is Diana Richardson. It's our first summer intern that we've had, and we just love her. She's great. So each position in my team fills a vital role and for the success of the office. No position is greater than the other, not even mine. Okay, teamwork. This one word describes everything we do in the assessor's office. Without it, we could not do what we do in serving each other and the public. So I owe a big thank you to my team for all that they've done for me. Okay, the assessor's office works in calendar phases that are spread out throughout the year and start over every January. In January, many phases started, some of which are the agricultural, that's a hard word to say, classification approvals, that's pursuant to ARS Title 42. We have 41 ag parcels in play for 2025, 2 applications for a new operation, 2 applications to add parcels to existing operations, 20 continuations updated, 13 continuations pending, and 1 that was removed. Next, we have the notice of value, or the NOVs. That's also pursuant to Title 42. We sent out 24,545 NOVs for residential property and 19,782 NOVs for commercial or other property. Next, we have exemption and nonprofit affidavits, also pursuant to ARS 42. We have received 82 individual exemption affidavits with 71 approved and 11 denied. We've received one new organization exemption affidavit for 2025. Then we have property valuation protection, or the senior freeze. That's pursuant to Arizona Constitution, Article 9, Section 18.7. We've received 76 applications with 68 approved and 8 denied. Business personal property, pursuant again to Title 42. We sent out 2,952 statements and have received around 700 completed statements. And all phases were completed according to the statutory time allotted. In February, it's a big month for the special taxing districts because this is when we send the levy limits out. That's pursuant again to Title 42, and we did so within the statutory time allotted. Also for February, the ag approvals or denials and the notice of value are mailed by February 28th. For March starts the senior freeze renewals phase, and a notice of reapplication is sent to each resident that was approved for the senior freeze 3 years prior to inform them that they need to renew their application. In April was a busy month this year. All business personal property statements are due into our office by April 1st. The final day that property valuation classification appeals can be submitted is in April. We have received 42 appeals, with 26 being rejected, and we have 2 cases currently in tax court. April 1st starts the window for us to send the business personal property notice of value. We're working on this, and we'll have them sent out before the window closes on August the 30th. We sent out the first notice of intent to reclassify property to 2020 property owners, pursuant to, again, to ARS 42, receiving approximately 300 responses to date. It's probably more than that now. This notice is part of a 3-notice mailing that we call the first and final, that happens once per assessor term. In the first and final, there is the first notice, the final notice for those that did not respond to the first notice, and the notice of reclassification for those parcels needing to be reclassified. The first and final form used was created by the Arizona Department of Revenue and is very confusing and upset a number of folks. But we talked to the ADOR about that, and we can revise the form and make it a little bit more friendly. So we're going to be doing that for the next mail out. Okay, so what is a first and final, and why do we send it? A first and final is a notice process to confirm the proper classification of a primary residence, to validate legal class 3 properties, to ensure that additional state aid to education credits are applicable per statute. A property owner would receive a first and final if their property met one or more of 4 conditions. The owner has a mailing address outside the county in which the property is located. The owner has a mailing address other than a post office box that is different than the situs address, the property address. The owner has the same mailing address for more than one property, class 3 property that is. Or the owner appears to be a business entity, either because it's owned by an LLC or it's just suspected that it's a business. The final notice and the second notice is the second notice in the 3-notice mailing. That's hard to say. The final notice is the second one that goes out, and it was just sent out. Then either if the property owner didn't respond to either the first or the final notice, or if they did respond and they let us know that the property we show as primary really isn't, then they will receive a notice of reclassification that their property is being changed from the 3.1 to the 4.1. Okay, during May, we worked on several existing phases, such as senior freeze renewals and valuation or classification appeals. And for June, this month, we are continuing work on existing phases and the new phases of full cash value determination of property owned by the state retirement plans to be sent to you guys, full cash value determination of remote municipal property to be sent to you guys. That was very unprofessional, to be sent to the board. Okay, updates. I've implemented several things since becoming the assessor, some of which I'll share with you today. Weekly chief and team meetings. Prior to my arrival, there were no consistent meetings being held. I think it's important to stay connected on a consistent basis, not only to inform the team of recent news and updates, but to have that personal connection to see how everyone is doing. So I meet every Monday with my chief deputy assessor and my chief appraiser in a chief's meeting to discuss what's going on in their respective positions, what they might want to relay to the whole team, just anything that needs to be talked about. Then we meet every Thursday with the team. We discuss different topics like legislative updates, training, do's and don'ts, many other topics. Some stay the same from meeting to meeting, like a team member's accomplishment for that week, and then some are different, like a customer encounter, which I'll talk about in a minute. I want my team to be well informed, so I try to stay as transparent with them as possible. The next update, monthly meetings between the chiefs and their team members. So every month, or as often as possible, my chiefs meet with the team members who report directly to them and discuss topics and issues directly related to their positions. Chris meets with all the appraisers and field data technicians, and Micah meets with everyone else. Training. The department attends several training classes throughout the year. Many positions require continuing education to maintain their certification, and they can accomplish much of that at the annual tax conferences. But for all positions, we provide education to them to better equip them in their position, some of which is self-study materials. Some comes through our weekly and monthly meetings, some come through webinars, but they get education. So for example, Mary and Lily attended a deed fraud summit to assist them in their respective jobs as title examiner and assessor's aide. And most of my team attended a legal description webinar for better understanding of legal descriptions to help them in their respective positions. We are hosting a user group training session in July that brings all the counties together to discuss specific topics. And we are spearheading a study group for all the appraisers of all the counties where they can meet once per quarter and kick around topics. Policies and procedures. I've embarked on a project to update our policies and procedures information for each position in the assessor's office and the department as a whole. Each job duty and task assigned to each position will have a policy and procedure document modeled after the board's procedure layout. That includes the purpose of the task, the legal authority, if any, the person responsible, the steps involved, etc. This project is going to take quite a bit of time to finish, but my hope is to have it done before my term is up. Next update is change in Rule B as to senior freeze and splits and combos. So we had a situation arise where the property owner had a garden. He wanted to expand his garden, and his neighbor said, "Hey, I'll give you some of my land." And so she, signs over part of her land to him, very small portion, which any splitting of a parcel or combining of parcels, no matter the size, creates a Rule B adjustment, which it did here. And this particular gardener, his value, his tax dollars skyrocketed. Of course, unbeknownst to them, right? They didn't know that this little thing that they were going to do, helping each other, was going to cause that, but it did. And he was on the senior freeze at the time. And so the past policy was that you remove them from the senior freeze and they got to reapply. Well, I didn't like that. I thought that was kind of mean to seniors. So I did some researching to see, is there anything that we can do? And so in law, it talks about Rule B and that there is that requirement, so I can't do anything about that. So what about the senior freeze and incorporating the Rule B with the senior freeze? And so I contacted the other counties to ask them what they did. Half were split kind of down the middle. Half of them would do the Rule B, remove them from senior freeze, kick up the value, kick up the dollars, and just whatever. And the other half said, no, we're going to do the Rule B because we have to, but we're going to just add that extra value to the frozen amount and keep them on the senior freeze. And I'm like, that's a good option. So that's what we have incorporated, and that's what we do. Next, we have public records requests. The Assessor's Office is no stranger to the Freedom of Information Act and public records requests, or FOIAs. We recently received a challenge from a FOIA requester on our treatment of his request as commercial and the fees we charged. So we brought it to legal for a response to find out, are we right? Is he right? You know, and we learned we weren't right. And so we changed our practices according to the better understanding of the law and legal guidance on that. But also because of this situation, I thought, you know what, I think we're the only department in Gila County that does our own data requests. Everyone else goes through the public records request, and Paul Wolterbeek and Carol and those guys. So let's give them to these guys because they do it all the time. So that's what we did. So they're doing all of our records requests now so that we're all on the same page. Okay, encounter submission forms. You might think that everyone that comes to the assessor's office is happy to be there. Mm-hmm. Well, no, that's wrong. We handle all kinds of emotions: sad, angry, shocked, scared, and some happy. I think it's important to talk as a team about those customers that are property owners that are anything but happy. So anyone that speaks to or handles a customer that comes in or over the phone that is something other than happy, they fill out an encounter submission form. They let me know what the situation was, how they handled it, was the situation resolved, how they could have done better, and then that form is given to their direct up, their chief, and then they give it to me, and then we all talk about it as a team just to better ourselves in what we do. Mapping transition to GIS. You've heard many times from Tom Homan on this, on the transition from the assessor's office to the GIS department. We're very excited about it, taking our archaic CAD over to the GIS system. This isn't what it looks like. This is just pictures I found to throw up there, but it gives an idea of taking something yucky to something great. I just spoke with Tom last week about getting Brandon Sawyer into the mix and getting him into some training and getting him ready to help with the GIS part. So that'll be coming at the end of the year, and we are very excited about that. And I want to thank Tom for all of his hard work and his communication with our department on the process of it. The Payson office leadership. It's been a while since my chief deputy and my chief appraiser spent time consistently in the Payson office, and that has been changed to where Micah is there pretty much every Tuesday and Chris is there pretty much every Wednesday. Fire districts. Last year brought some concerns amongst the fire districts regarding their levy numbers. As such, they requested a meeting with the assessor's office and the finance department. We were more than happy to accommodate, and we invited the treasurer's office and Mr. Minlove to the meeting. We held this in Mr. Minlove's office on April 14th with Maren Belling, Monica Wolforth and her team, me and my team, and most of the fire district chiefs. Amy Lecker, I hope I'm saying that right. Letcher, anybody know? Letcher. Angie Letcher from Hell's Gate Fire District was a spokesperson for the fire chiefs and brought their concerns to our attention. We had an excellent collaboration and left with to-do list and the start of a much better relationship between the assessor's office, the treasurer's office, finance, and the fire districts. We have already sent the first list to each fire district, which would have been the list of the commercial properties that we showed in their area for them to look over in their records, and hopefully we'll get some good positive feedback. Still waiting on that. And in the meantime, we are analyzing, or me and Lily's helping me, analyzing all the parcels in the fire districts to see if we can find any errors that we did on labeling them into the incorrect tax area code. Okay, exemption waiver petitions. As the board learned back on June 3rd, There is a section of the Arizona Revised Statutes dealing with property tax exemptions that the assessor's office was unaware of and prior to me coming on board, and we are now implementing. This is Title 42, Chapter 11, Article 3 of ARS, provides certain provisions for tax exemptions. For such exemptions are widows, widowers, total and permanent disability, veteran disability, and nonprofit organizations. For the individual exemptions, if qualified, it reduces their property taxes. For the nonprofit organization, if qualified, it eliminates their taxes. The filing period is from January 1st to March 1st each year. Prior to now, as I've already discussed with you with the board, prior to now, when March 1st hit, the application phase ended, which it does, but now we are aware of that petition that you all have seen already, where they can hopefully get that exemption back if they have a valid reason to have missed the application timeframe. Mobile office hours. We are very excited to introduce mobile office hours to the assessor's office. This came about because a lady from Young came into the Globe office to pick up an application form for an exemption for a disabled veteran in Young. And she said, you know, it would be really great if y'all could come out to Young and talk to our veterans out here and help them fill out this paperwork. And I said, you know, it would be really great, and we're going to do that. And so I got with Kathy Melvin and with Supervisor Klein. We arranged to use the Pleasant Valley Veterans Retreat to host that, or to hold that meeting. We had a great turnout at that meeting and were able to help a lot of people. Then just a couple of days after that meeting, we got a phone call saying, hey, y'all need to come out again because there's a lot more people that missed it and they really need your help. And so we went out again 2 weeks later and helped even more people than what came the first time. So because of that and implementing mobile office hours, we'll be going to other areas like Winkleman and Hayden and Pine and Strawberry, these other outskirt areas that have the senior community or the disabled community that just need some help for us to come and help them out. So we'll be doing that. Remarks in Tyler. We're almost done with updates. The system we use in the assessor's office is called Tyler. It is the same system that both the recorder's office and the treasurer's office uses. Prior to my arrival, the normal way of making changes to a parcel that affected the future was you make the change in the future. And that's the right way. You make the change in the future. But the problem is when you're working current and something's going on with that particular parcel, you may not know that there's something happening in the following year or the next year if you don't have some kind of remark, some kind of note letting you know that, hey, something was done in the future year. So now we are putting the remarks in the current year to let us know you need to go look in the future year. And finally, potlucks and parties. That's a good way to end the updates. The office they used to have a lot of potlucks, and it kind of got pushed away and forgotten about. And when I spoke to several of my team members, they mentioned really enjoying the potlucks. So I brought them back. We had our first potluck to bring in spring and had a Hawaiian theme with a Hawaiian shirt or outfit contest. We have a picture up there of Brandon Sawyer, who won the contest in Globe, and then Diana Moore won the contest in Payson, and that was a lot of fun. Our second gathering was just this past Saturday at Jake's Corner, and we had a great time with food and shooting pool and singing karaoke and just had a grand old time. And just for everyone's knowledge, this is not county-sponsored parties, and there is no taxpayer money paying for these other than what you pay me and my salary because I'm the one paying for them. Just want to make that clear. All right, legislative updates. The county assessors, in conjunction with the Arizona Association of Assessing Officers and Arizona Association of Counties, put forth several bills this legislative session, with 4 of those bills making it to the governor's desk and signed by Governor Hobbs. So we have Senate Bill 1122, the exemption adjustment bill. This bill affects ARS 42-11111. and specifically changes paragraph C 1 through 3 and paragraph K2. You can see on this slide the red portions that are being eliminated and the blue portions that are being added. The biggest takeaway, and what I believe will be a tremendous help in allowing for more widows, widowers, persons with total and complete disabilities, and veterans with disabilities to qualify for an exemption and receive a tax break, is the change from using the GDP to using the Federal House Price Index to derive the max total assessed property value. This value is the ceiling on what the property's assessed value can be before you're no longer qualified to receive that exemption. So the higher the number, the more people will qualify. So I personally think that the Federal Housing Price Index will allow for higher numbers. The next bill is Senate Bill 1120, is the ARS cleanup bill. It affects 48-261, 261.1, 262, and 266, changing a couple of minor wording for better flow and defining assessed value as a property valued by the Arizona Department of Revenue being the full cash value, and versus the property assessed by assessors being the limited property value. So it just makes that a little bit better understandable for people reading the statute. Then we have Senate Bill 1224, the Senior Valuation Bill. This bill affects 42-13302 and specifically changes paragraph A. You see all the blue letters up there, that's all new stuff. The biggest takeaway is that a specified provision has been added to clarify how value is calculated when it comes off the senior freeze. And that calculation would be the Rule B that I spoke about earlier. Finally, we have the legislative update, Senate Bill 1549, Conservation Easement Bill. This affected 33-272. It adds paragraph F to the statute. The biggest takeaway is that a specified provision has been added to clarify how to determine the full cash value of conservation easements, which doesn't greatly affect our county. There are other bills that affect the assessor's office that were put forth by other people. I don't have that information today, but I can certainly come back at a later time and present those, and especially after the governor signs all those into legitimacy. So that concludes my presentation, and I want to thank the chair and members of the board for allowing me to present, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much. Supervisor Humphrey.
Yeah, as I mentioned before, excuse me, my mic wasn't on. As I've mentioned before, you know, on the calculations and things with the seniors and some of the stuff for a zero tax, I'm not for that, even if it's $1, you know, so that there is some tax, because where I've been, and also too, once these seniors get a freeze or they get a tax deduction, I'm wondering how your office knows when someone has passed away, because then their grandkid could move in and it just goes to the assessors and or to the you know, and pays to the treasurer and pays the taxes, you know, on a decreased value when the person's been passed for a few years. So I you know, that concerns me too, because I work on a lot of blighted properties that where someone has passed away, someone's living in there, I have no one to write a citation. Someone is paying the taxes so it doesn't go in a tax foreclosure sale. So that's kind of created difficulties for me in trying to clean up properties. And so, yeah, I guess my question is how would your office know, and believe me, I'm all for taking care of the vets and the seniors and helping them with a lower tax. I would just like to see the process that if and when they do pass, that somehow there's some kind of a notification for that property value to be changed. Because we, you know, it's crazy in the rural area that I'm over. This is concerning because it happens a lot, not just, you know, one in a blue moon. It seems to be a par anymore, just to take over grandma's old house and it never goes to probate and things of that nature. So that's one of the that I have. And another one as well is, I think your mobile offices are great, and you mentioned where you have them. I think Tonto Basin might be a good place to have, one, their chamber met with us, and they've got a real enthusiastic chamber. And that place is growing now that the bridge is in.
Yeah, it is.
So I would imagine that they would have a lot of property value questions and
Okay.
concerns.
Okay.
And perhaps Roosevelt as well, but if you had one in Tonto, you could advertise it in Roosevelt, because it's only, 15, 20 minutes away. But, yeah, I hope that the assessor's office carries on with your enthusiasm that you have put in your presentation, because in the past, everybody knows we've had great difficulties with that office. So, like I say, you've shown great enthusiasm and a big thought for staff and keeping things rolling. So thank you very much, and I hope it continues to go forward with the same enthusiasm and it carries through to the constituents.
If I may, Chair and Supervisor Humphrey, I'll go ahead and remark to your statements. Thank you for the Tonto Basin suggestion. That is a good suggestion. As far as the deaths go, we have one path, which is a death certificate being recorded to the recorder's office. We have another path that comes from the mortuaries. They send us lists of the deaths that come through their doors. And if we don't have anything from those two places, then sometimes we do have to rely on that next person coming in to the property, and then we see, oh, hey, this person passed away. But I would say that generally they're all found out.
There's a
Micah, why don't you come up here?
There is concerted effort on maintaining those. We do go through those senior evaluation freezes every year and make sure that there hasn't been a change of ownership that's occurred, and we still have the senior freeze in place on that property. We do regularly communicate. Luckily, the mortuaries in our county have been very helpful in providing us information of anything that's come through their door. We occasionally get tips from the public, and we will investigate those. Our job is to, if there is something that is brought to our attention, we do investigate it, and we do the due diligence to try and eliminate any senior freezes that are on properties where the applicant is no longer the stated owner of the property or has passed on. So
Mr. Chair, if I may, so that once you find out that there has been someone who passed, then that particular property goes through a reevaluation?
Yes, what happens, and especially now that the statute, it's been, this year it has been codified in statute, what happens is we remove that senior freeze and we apply a B rule, which basically recalculates the LPV to the median of that market area, so that they're on par with the median, the valuation of the LPV is on par with the median of that market area.
Okay,
so
good.
we do, anytime that is brought to our attention, we do the best that we can to make sure that we don't have senior freezes that are on properties that the senior freeze really is no longer applicable.
Okay. Well,
there is always that loophole, because in order to truly change the property, the ownership of the property, we have to have a death certificate, or we have to have some sort of deed in order to justify the change of property. But anything that is brought to our attention is investigated, and if it's possible to remove, if we have enough evidence that the situation that qualifies them for the senior freeze is no longer applicable, we will remove that.
Or the exemption.
okay, yeah,
Yeah,
right, because like I say, some of them don't change ownership.
yeah.
The person just leaves and somebody else just kind of gets in, and so it didn't change ownership.
Yeah.
But if I do run into some of these to where I have no one to serve for blight or other issues, then by all means, I'll bring that
Yeah.
property
Please, yeah, please bring it to our
to your
attention.
office so that you will know that I'm having trouble, because
Sure.
I have property that I'm having trouble with that has no owner.
Yeah, no, we will remove the senior freeze, if there's evidence that the person that originally qualified, is no longer living on the premises or is passed on. We will remove the senior freeze. We can't change the ownership without the proper documentation, but we can remove the senior freeze, so that they are no longer getting a benefit that the original applicant, no longer is, part of the parcel, so.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chair, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Micah.
Supervisor Klein.
Sure, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for all this, and really thank you to your staff and
Oh,
everybody.
yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
you guys are awesome. And so I had one of the questions I had, real simple. When it comes to the senior freeze, what's the age limit on that?
65.
65?
Mhm.
Wow, I'm getting there.
I
So, cool.
got another decade.
Hi, Charlotte. It seems like our assessments are down this year, valuations and assessments. I think, James, you have the numbers on that. And so I was kind of curious, is there something up with the state, or what would be causing that?
I don't think there's anything up with the state. Would you like to send it? You just stay up here, Micah.
Overall, generally, the actual assessments, on a countywide basis, actually increased. There were some market areas where the valuation, everything that we do as far as our market adjustments and valuation is based on sales, valid sales of the areas, arm's length transactions. So when we do our market adjustments in the fall every year, we use the sales of the market area to dictate where our new valuation is going to come from. So if sales drop, then you're going to see a preceding drop in the valuation of the full cash value. Luckily, one of the benefits, there's benefits and pitfalls to the current way we value property with the LPV. One of the benefits is that when there is a change, unless that change is severely drastic, it usually doesn't affect the LPV. The LPV only increases by 5% per year unless something has been changed by the property until it meets full cash value. So this last year, the LPV is only going to, generally countywide, the LPV is usually only going to go up by 5% per year unless the market tanks, or and even if the market explodes, it's not going to. It's still only going to increase by 5% per year unless the market tanks. And then, of course, if the market tanks, that's bad news all the way around. So
It is. So, Micah, you've seen a drop in sales this last year? Is that?
We've seen drops in valuations of sales. After COVID, there was a huge explosion in rural sales across the state. People were paying exorbitant amounts of money for property. In a lot of situations, I'm looking at prices that I'm like, I wouldn't be able to justify buying an acre for that price. But as COVID started to taper off, now we're seeing not necessarily that the sales are dropping in value, but they're not being paid. They're not paying as much as they were. So there is a drop in value, but it's still relatively, the market is still relatively higher than it was in 2020. And we have to use a combination of sales. We use 18 months for residential sales, and I believe 30 months for commercial sales are our time frames. So the adjustments that we're working on for the 2027 tax year, which will be what we're working on this fall, will be based on sales from the past 6 months of this year and all of last year. So we have to work 2 years in advance based on sales to come up with our valuations. So last year when we did the overall market adjustments, there were some areas that went down. Overall, the values remained relatively stable and increased in some areas, but there were a few market areas where there's just either no sales are being conducted, or there was a lowering of what they were paying. So.
Okay, Micah. I think James wanted to say something.
Mr. Chairman, Brother Klein, Assessor, thank you for your time and all that you do. It's great to have the stability that you have brought to the office. Do you have a question that you talked about the explosive nature of post-COVID increases in property values? So we kind of use $100,000 as the base. So post-COVID, an extraordinary amount of increase of a property might be going from 100,000 to 140,000. But you can only increase the limited cash value by 5%. So 100%, $100,000 goes to 105,000, 110,000, and it takes a number of years to catch up.
Yep.
So if a property post-COVID went to 140,000, then now is maybe down to 135,000. Aren't we still catching up?
Yes.
So what does, I just don't know the mechanism of, if we're still catching up and if valuations come from 140 down to 135, aren't we still catching up? And why would that, what appears to limit the net assessed value of properties in Gila County?
So you're exactly right. If it goes from 100,000 to 130,000, that LPV is only going to go up to 105,000. The other factor that I always forget is centrally valued property in Gila County is a major contribution in tax dollars. Roughly about 18% of our valuation comes from centrally valued properties, meaning centrally valued properties are the mines, utilities, industries where they work statewide, they may work across county boundaries, and those are actually valued by the Department of Revenue. By statute, and it's a self-reporting system. So we tend to have huge, in areas where we do have huge fluctuations, a lot of times that's because the CVP numbers are lower from the previous year. But that previous year, it may have increased by 15 or 20% from the 3 years back. So there are large fluctuations in CVP, and unfortunately, those really, we're the holders of the data, but we don't do the value maintenance on that. That's by statute. It's valued by the Department of Revenue in both, they report their assets to the Department of Revenue, and then the Department of Revenue sets the valuation for those properties. And so we do have large fluctuations in valuation of CVP at times. So that would be one of the explanations on you know, even though property values are going up, the net assessed value is down. That's because the CVP numbers that were reported for that year, you know, the mines dropped, you know, $500,000, $5 million in valuation because the assets were moved out of the county or to some other existing operation. So, and as I said, CVP numbers are roughly about 18. Last time I did it, which would have been about 2 to 3 years ago, our net assessed valuations, about 18 to 20% of our valuation came from centrally valued properties.
Thank you.
That's a tough one to stay ahead of, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'd like to have been a fly on the wall when those deals were being cut way back when I was a kid. Yeah, but I will say that with that in mind, not everybody knows that either. I remember I'm talking about a long time ago, but that's a lot what hurts our small communities, these rural communities right there. And so, I mean, it has its advantages and disadvantages. I get it,
Yep.
but it's hard to stay up with. So,
Yep.
but thank you for everything you guys are doing. It's good.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, so thank you, Micah, and thank you, Shara. Really informative and shows the complexity of what you guys do. So I work in simple terms, like 3.5% of our county is private land. But that 3.5% has a lot of different aspects to it.
Yes.
And Micah just said something I wasn't aware of, that 20% of that 3.5% fluctuates wildly sometimes.
Yeah.
And along with that, we have ag classifications and exemptions and senior freezes and all of those. Now, the senior freeze isn't only related to age, right? It's related to income?
Income,
Okay, so you have to qualify in several ways,
correct.
right? Okay, and is there ever a point where you're down to paying zero taxes? Is there anyone that gets to that level?
It happens.
It does? Okay. That's not me.
That's not me either.
Yes, if I may. I guess another question, and you say on sales, does that include new builds? Because I think our building permits are up. So is it only on sales, or is it also on new build values as well?
We do capture new valuation on new builds. As far as how it works into the market adjustments, if the sale has taken place and the house is not built yet, we have to use the sale as it is on the affidavit of property value. So if it was a sale that was for a vacant parcel, that it goes into our vacant parcel valuation, not our
Not a
residential.
$400,000
Yeah,
home.
Yeah.
Okay.
We do add the value, but as far as how that affects our market adjustments, we have to compare like properties with like properties at the time of the sale. So if the house was not included in that sale valuation, it goes into our vacant land valuation, not into our residential.
But it'll
parcel
eventually
valuation.
catch the new builds?
Yeah, we do catch them. It not necessarily in the sales valuation, because if that sale
Right.
did not include the home, it
Right.
will not be part of the sales valuation for residentials. It would be part of the vacant, but we do capture. We do add values when we have the permits. The county is great at getting our permits to us, getting the new issued permits. We have, and Payson is very good at getting their new permits to us. I would say one of the areas that I would like to see more cooperation from the towns in the southern part of the county is the cities of Miami and Globe notifying us when they have received a new permit, because we do our best to, in our field inspections, if we notice something going up, we will add it to the assessment roll. But if we're not aware of it, we don't know to add it.
And one more thing that we're kind of been looking at is, okay, on valuation, there's either a home or it's vacant. Is that correct?
Yes.
Vacant land, or there's a structure on it.
Yes.
What if someone has a $180,000 motorhome that they're living on a piece of property for 6 months out of the year?
If the mobile home is not affixed to the property, which is recording an affidavit of a fixture that legally allows us to assess the mobile home to the property. If that is not done, we have to value them separately. We have to value it as the mobile home on an account by itself, and then the land as a separate account. However, we do classify the land to its current structure. So if it's an unaffixed mobile home, it is still classified as either a class 3 or class 4 residential. The land is classified as either class 3 or class 4 residential, but the mobile home value is on the mobile home account. The land value is on the OR account.
Okay, so there's no state law against that, so that
No.
that is a possibility in us going forward, because, I mean, I live at Roosevelt, which I consider a recreational area, and that area is growing, and a lot of people just soon put $200,000 in a motorhome and park it in Sholo in the summer and at Roosevelt in the winter, but they're not paying the property taxes that a $400,000 house right next to them is paying, which is creating problems for our fire districts and some of our first responders, because they're on a percentage of the tax value. So anyway, I'm working with Mr. Minlove on us trying to work out an ordinance, and so that's just something that I wanted to bring up while we're in the conversation, and it's on my mind, because that's something that could maybe come up that would create more work for you, but it could create more tax revenue for a county that lives on 3.5% of its tax base. And while we're public, I don't think that the mines should be included on their evaluation, because they're self-assessing. which does not help the rest of us at all. And so, anyway, I'm finished. I could say I thank you very much. I appreciate it. Chairman, thank you.
You're welcome. So another peculiarity is if someone builds a house, let's say 10 years ago, and it's valued right off at $500,000. 10 years after that, someone builds another house right next door. Now, the $500,000 house is worth $1 million now, but you've only been able to raise that 5% annually. But the new builder, his property is valued at $1 million as well, but he's now paying on $1 million. Is that how that works?
So the way that valuation works for tax purposes in our state is, of course, you have your full cash value and your limited property value. And so, as I said, the rule B, when there's a significant change to the property, which would either be new construction, a legal class change, split or combine, we can then reestablish that LPV to the median of the area. So if the median of the area is 100,000 full cash, but everybody's LPV is at 65,000, we have to that LPV gets reset to 65,000 based on that change. So there are situations where you may be adding to the value of the property, but the LPV lowers based on that median of the area. Because when you had, if you have a $100,000 property that's vacant, and say its LPV was established at 80,000, and you add a $200,000 home to that, we have to set it at 65% of the full cash value. So it's not automatically going to be 100,000 plus the 200,000. It's going to be 65% of that full cash value. So there's times where it works out when the B rule is up, which is when markets are relatively stable. That 5% increase is going to get you closer and closer to being on par with the full cash value. But when you have either huge drops or you have huge increases in value, that B rule gets reset at a different level. So if everything stays static and everything's at 80% and then increases by 5% per year, then next year that B rule is going to be 85%. But if the valuations fluctuate either high or low, then that that B rule ratio will drop or go up. And when the market increases, the B rule ratio decreases. When the market decreases, the B rule ratio increases, is how it actually works out. So it tends to look contrary to what the market is doing in relation to the LPV. It's very complicated.
Did your
I
eyes go
probably
like
didn't
that?
do I probably didn't do the
Anyway,
best justification in
I'm
explaining.
glad you're doing this.
But
So anyway, but thanks for that.
yeah. But that's the
have
biggest
anything else?
takeaway.
Best thing
is,
to have is his phone number.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
sounds very
And it's
complicated.
a lot easier. It's a lot easier to sit down and explain it one-on-one
Yeah.
using a specific case. But
Yeah.
that's the bottom line is that when the market's increasing, our B-roll ratio can drop based off of where the median is in relation of the LPV to the full cash. So when you're having big increases in value, your LPV ratio is going to be a smaller percentage of that full cash value.
And Proposition 117 created
Yes.
all this mess.
Okay.
So it was a great thing. It looked good for taxpayers that my taxable valuation will only increase at the most 5% each year. It can't go way up there. But now we have all this stuff that nobody knew was also in the proposition.
Well, it sounds like you've really been doing a great job. You're 6 months into your job, and you got a great team. It sounds like you're doing.
I
really
got a
good.
great team.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anything else, Supervisor?
Not at this point. Thank you very much.
I'm good.
Welcome.
Good.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Yeah. Very good. Okay. Great report on that. And by the way, we have like 6 elected officials in the room today. So that's pretty cool. Item 2B is information discussion. to review proposed changes to the Gila County Fairgrounds Rodeo Arena layout and provide direction to staff. And Joseph's going to help us understand this. Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman, Board of Supervisors. We're exploring architectural and engineering design services focused on optimizing the equine and event space at the Hill County Fairgrounds. With input direction from the Board of Supervisors, your insight and feedback are vital to ensure that we are aligned with community needs and industry standards. This effort stems from a combination of reoccurring feedback received during public meetings, past board discussions, and stakeholder engagement, particularly with Hill County Fair Committee. Several long-standing issues that have been identified include inability to establish proper fire lanes for safety in large events, limited insufficient parking and seating, poor lighting for morning and evening events, insufficient limited restroom access between arenas and ADA access, substandard material and soil conditions at the mobile arena leading to resurfacing of large rocks, inconsistent arena conditions, lack of permanent livestock holding pens and infrastructure primarily on that mobile arena. To address these concerns, we have preliminarily engaged GH2 equine architects for master planning, concept design, early stage architectural services. We're looking at, depending on the input, of course, from the Board of Supervisors, but we wanted a rough order of magnitude and cost to be able to give you an idea, and that's $49,800. Again, that scope includes reconfiguring both arenas, planning for restroom parking enhancements, livestock handling improvements, announcer booth upgrades, lighting, and utility infrastructure to better support the traffic, the higher traffic events. With that, I'd really like to open it up to the Board of Supervisors, and we're open to any input and thoughts.
Thank you, Joseph. Supervisor Humphrey.
Yeah, Joseph, thank you for this, and I'm aware of a lot of it because I've been in communication with you on a lot of that. Because one of my concerns were that, you know, when it was finished, it was just a big old fenced-in area, and I guess you could warm a horse up there. But as far as having events, like I say, there was nothing for stock or anything of that nature. No electrical, no announcer span. So I mean, in my original thought, the purpose of having a second arena is to have better events there, or like high school rodeo finals where we had, you know, two arenas where they could have functions going, or slack rides or things of that nature. And so what you and I have seen on paper of like being able to use our existing pens and things of that nature makes an awful lot of sense and also saves money. But I think it's great that you're working forward to do something to make it something other than a big fenced-in area.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Supervisor Klein.
I think I'm lost here. So are we talking around like the second arena that was put in place, or
Yeah, it's just a big old fenced-in area.
it's not an arena, like a designed arena? And
We'll drive out there and look.
I guess I'm gonna have to, because I was under the assumption that it was an actual arena. And by having that in place, that's the benefit. So many of these events and these functions have so many participants in it that when those teams make that short go, they come out of one arena and right into the other one and run that one. And so you have a continual flow of people there, and they're still there till wee hours of the morning. And so I thought we had that already in place, but I guess we don't, huh?
Chairman, Supervisor Klein, there isn't a mobile arena established there, to your point. It's just the configuration and the current setup is ineffective.
Yeah, I guess I'm gonna have to see it before I have a whole lot that I could even speak of here, you know, because I honestly thought that we were already good to go on that. And then the restroom deal are we talking about the prefab restrooms that came in? They're already in place, right?
That's correct, sir. Those prefab restrooms are in place. They are operational. This would further enhance that by optimizing how people are actually getting to the restroom. So if someone was over at the mobile arena, there's no ADA access for them to get over. Also into the main area or the older arena, there's no ADA access for them to access it. Although there is ADA parking, we're looking to optimize that transition from being a spectator or a user into using that facility.
So like access, you're talking like cement walkways, pavement walkways, something that a wheelchair could go down through or scooter?
Yes, sir, that's it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go look at and walk around.
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Klein, it is a portable arena, a light stock arena, and it is fully an arena. The problem is that we do not have the stock tanks. And so if you have a roping event, getting the steers into that portable arena, we do not have that ability at this time. So what is being proposed is to take this existing light stock arena and turn it sideways and abut it to the existing stock tanks, so that they can, the steers and that can go to either arena, the heavy stock arena that we currently have, and then the light stock arena, that they can channel the stock to either arena, which makes it more functional. Rather than purchasing stock tanks for both arenas, this enables us to use the existing structure.
So, okay, yeah. I'd be happy to drive out there and take a look. I'll do that. But that does make sense. I mean, to be able to utilize the same pins if capacity will allow it. That's the only other thing I would say. You know, with the big events, it takes a lot of animals.
And it'd be nice to maybe ride with Joseph or something, so so you can see what's there and he can explain to you what he wants.
Yeah, we'll get together and make a time frame and go take a look. You know,
Right now it's a bunch of porta panels on a big old piece of dirt.
gotcha. And so where this portable arena is going, didn't we do a bunch of dirt work there already to start with? It just needs to be improved. Is that what you're kind of thinking?
So when it comes to the dirt work, to Mr. Minlov's point, if we relocate the mobile arena for more of an efficient location, aligning with some of the stock pins, that dirt that was brought in, to your point, quite a bit of it would be repurposed to be able to support a level surface for parking or whatever the board would want it to be, or the architects are able to help us envision.
Gotcha.
Mr. Chairman, and Supervisor Klein, as Joseph did state that the earth that was brought in, the dirt that was brought in, that there was a little bit too big of stones, of rocks. And so the dirt will need to be screened and that, because it's the base of what was in that portable arena was rocky, and it's coming to the surface. So it's posing problems that we'll need to address in repositioning the portable arena.
Sure. No, I get that. So, yeah, I'll get with you, Joseph. We'll take a look.
Would be happy to.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, I need to take a look too. I'm a little lost too as far as what we're doing. You're asking for direction today, and I'm not sure what to tell you. So obviously this is above and beyond what was originally planned. And what kind of expenses? You mentioned something about $49,000. What is it going to cost to do what you're asking us to provide you direction on?
Yes, sir. So the $49,000 is to be able to create the scope of work or move forward with the scope of work to present the ideas either received from the Board of Supervisors or that we've had from other stakeholders. Again, bringing in some of the lighting, reconfiguration, traffic, and a few other things like that with safety. Now, as far as the construction goes, this is very preliminary. This is not dedicating us to any kind of construction, but it is a very important step in that direction if we decide to. In this cost proposal, we have it designated so that we have a cost breakout so that we can have a better understanding of what the potential cost is if we did move forward with construction. Just as important to that is we also have it broken out so that we can phase it as we see fit for budgetary purposes. So it gives us a lot of flexibility with it being such an important first step.
Okay, so the money you're talking 49 plus is to come up with all of that logistical planning.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay.
Mr. Chairman, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. Mr. Chair, if I may, and like I say, when it was first done, I went out there and met with Joseph and Mr. Minlove, and it's like, guys, for what I thought was not what we had intended, to get more rodeo type events at the fairgrounds. And so I recommended to Joseph and his staff to meet with like someone from the high school rodeo finals and 4-H to see how we could better use the facility. And he has, and they got some great input from people that would be using it. And so I think that's where they're at, because they put a lot of time and effort in redesigning. Like I say, rather than go into a big expense of fixing what's there, to move it so that some of our holding pins and stuff could be multiple use. And so they have put a lot of time and effort. That's why I said I wished he had a little of a presentation to kind of show what some of the input that they've had. But you guys can work with Joseph to understand more of what information they have gathered from, like I say, people that would put on a high school rodeo final, or what 4-H would need to better use the facility.
Mr. Chair, if I may, James, is there a way we can just put together a meeting where we can all go out there and walk the grounds and look?
Absolutely.
Or is that gonna
No,
put a tailspin in somebody?
oh, absolutely not. That would be something we could just post it that we're gonna do a visit to the fairgrounds and have that discussion. So absolutely, we can do that.
I think that'd be beneficial. What do you guys think?
I agree.
I think that'd be fine, and Joseph, you could bring some of the things that I have seen on what you had come up with in reaching out to some of your information. Would be extremely beneficial to help a vision of what it could be.
Yes, sir. We'd be happy to network that.
Mr. Chairman, I'll tell you
Yes,
what,
sir.
if we schedule that, I'll even buy you lunch. Again, not out of county money. The assessor.
Out of the assessor's money? Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
yeah. The assessor will buy us lunch out of her pocket. No, just kidding.
Okay, well, yeah, let's see if we can get that set up somehow.
Yeah.
Okay?
Mr. Chairman, if I could, just echo Supervisor Humphrey's comments of the instructions that we've had in discussions with staff is, what do we need to do to make this a fully functional rodeo grounds that can sponsor these events that require more facilities? And Supervisor Humphrey stated it really well of, it was kind of like, oh, if we put it in a portable arena there, they'll come. But they haven't really, because we haven't had the full functionality. So this is what GH2 facilities all have been asked to do, is what do we need to do to make it so that we can hold the state high school championship rodeo and those kinds of things. So Supervisor Humphrey hit that nail right on the head of what we are attempting to get to.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Is that about all we need to talk about this one? Thank you, Joseph.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Look forward to looking at that, making a better choice. Yeah, some of that, I don't have any idea what we're doing. I support it, I just don't, it's hard for me to visualize some of that. So, all right, well, let's move on then. We're gonna go on to call to the public. Is there anyone here in Globe or Payson or the internet? How many we have today, Cassie? 61. Good job, and let's move on now to our reports. Manager Menlove.
Mr. Chairman, not to take anybody's thunder, but I just wanted to express appreciation to all those that attended the Arizona Department of Transportation board meeting that was held in Payson last Friday. A lot of comments, a lot of people that painted the picture of how dangerous that Lion Springs section of 260 is. So thank you. Lion Springs section of 260 was included in the ADOT 5-year plan. And just in reading something that hopefully next spring in 2026 that we can have groundbreaking, and that will move forward. So that was exciting to see. And finally, I will be out of state beginning this Thursday for the next 10 days or so, and returning on all that week of the 4th. I'll be gone and returning the following Tuesday, the 9th or 10th or something like that. So, Michael, we'll be here. Otherwise, if you need me, I will be working. You can let Sherry know, and she'll get, knows how to get a hold of me. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, we'll be in good hands. So Supervisor Humphrey.
So Michael will have the keys, huh? Yeah, I attended the Public Works Appreciation Day up in Payson. I'm glad I went. It was a good event, and I want to thank Manager Minlove for helping and put that on. When I showed up, there was one employee that said he was boycotting it because Payson brought the sides and Globe didn't bring any sides. And so anyway, that was kind of what was said to me. So I shortly mentioned it to Mr. Minlove, and he says, well, guys, I put X amount of dollars in out of my pocket, which was more than half of what the whole dinner cost. So I don't know what created that, but I'm sorry that kind of thing was said, but I appreciate Mr. Minlove in definitely supporting Globe's share of what needed to be done out of his pocket. I appreciate it very much, and I just wanted everybody to know that. But anyway, I attended a Miami Town Council meeting last night. It was I've been attending those, and so they were having some frustrations on forming committees and stuff, and I recommended to them that they do work sessions where everybody can talk about stuff, because it takes a lot of legal mumbo jumbo to create a committee where it doesn't take anything but notification for the board, for the city council and mayor and public and staff to be able to communicate on a particular item. And so anyway, that went well, and I have a meeting on the 5th with our Public Works Director and his team on projects that we have going in District 2 and some that we want to go in District 2. That's tomorrow. And then I will go to CAG Regional Council meeting tomorrow down in Apache Junction, and I believe the Mayor of Globe and the Mayor of Miami will carpool with me, which gives us a chance to communicate about the community and things that go on that we don't have meetings for. And so I will drive extra careful and stay away from the center line, because we want to be safe, but we also, I appreciate the fact that they're willing to carpool and we can get together as the cities that I have in my district too, where we can all sit and try to see what we're doing for the community. So that's all I have, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Supervisor Klein.
Okay, so last week I attended that Arizona Workforce Summit in Mesa and had a good spiel there. Mayor Kate Gallego and Mayor Lisa Fitzgibbons from Casa Grande was there, and it was a good deal. The three of us were the only ones on stage, but I don't know, there was well over 100 people that attended that. It was a big turnout. It's kind of an odd mix with two mayors from big municipalities and then me sitting there, but it was good discussions. It went kind of quick. It's over with before we knew it, but it was a good turnout. And then on Thursday as well, I attended the Public Works Appreciation Day, I thought it was a really good deal. I think people really enjoyed it. I did get the same feedback that Tim did on that, but I think it was an isolated incident. Everybody else seemed to be real happy. I think it was good discussion. We got to see our interns there, all of our folks in our program, summer program. There was 6 or 7 of them, I think, there. It was good. So I really enjoyed that and having a visit with everyone. And then, of course, the ADOT board meeting, I was there. I did not speak, but it was a big turnout. A lot of people from Maricopa were there. A lot of emotions. Only so many ways you can ask to put the highway on a 5-year plan, but so it was pretty lengthy sitting there going over all that. But the side discussions and everything were really well, and it became real apparent real fast when they came out with that alternative just to keep Lion Springs, the 347, and then some highway repavement projects in the 5-year plan. It was real obvious where that was going to go. And according to the board, that had just come up like the day before. And so it was one of those deals where the ADOT state actually came up with that alternative and presented it to the board just before the meeting. But it was a good one. And 260, you know, I'm sure Supervisor Christensen will talk about, but 260, as of yesterday, we had another fatality on it right there just outside of Star Valley. And so I can only blame it to the way people drive these days. I really, I mean, you can blame the highway all you want, but if you stay on your side of the lines, it really helps. And so I see it. I see it going around the detour whenever the highway to Superior is closed. If you can avoid going through Winkleman and Hayden on those days, please do it, because it is a wild ride. And people have no patience. Everybody's in a hurry and no common sense whatever. It's horrible. And so with any luck, maybe we'll get it done and it'll go on. And then other than that, I think, Mr. Chair, that is it for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And yeah, that was a good meeting. Just within the last 20 days, we've had, what, 5, 6, 7 deaths on Highway 260. It's kind of incredible. I did have a pretty lengthy conversation with the chairwoman, Jess Daniels, last week. And so from her, what I got was that she wasn't really sure how it was going to go. It looked like the 347 was going to take away our project. And I said, please don't do that. And she was trying to kind of bargain with me a little bit, like, well, what if you were willing to do this or that or the other? And I said, I'm not willing to give up an inch. I really am not. And I think the kicker for some of those guys was when Alex Kendrick got up there. We had a lot of good speakers. We had a lot of good people from Gila. But Alex got up there and quite wisely was able to go through the chronologicalness of the way that Lion Springs expansion has been put on, taken off, put on, taken off, put on, taken off. It went on and on. I couldn't believe it. And that impressed them. And the thing that impressed me is also out of all 7 members, it was a unanimous decision to go ahead and fund both, which was the obvious choice. That's what they should do. And so it's a big win, even though some may not see it as that, because and it called me up, well, it's already on the schedule, right? Yeah. Well, then it just stays the same, right? Yeah. It does, but thank God it stayed the same, because it was this close to not staying the same. So I'm thankful for everyone that spoke to that. I was also at the appreciation dinner, and that was a good thing. We need to appreciate. And I've asked Manager Menlove whether or not we can get together as a group and talk about public works and its future going forward now. He's gonna try and put something together. And when did you say you're leaving for your time?
This Thursday.
This coming, okay, so it doesn't look like we're doing that before this Thursday. And also we need to talk about some budget stuff, and so I've asked him to set up a couple meetings, so hopefully we can expect that coming soon. So anyway, that's all I have. If there's nothing else, then we are adjourned.
Those, okay.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I'm good.
No, I reversed my comment. Supervisor,
I was just gonna ask real quick, and that'll be under a work session type scenario where we can all chip in, talk, if we're gonna talk about public works and budget.
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Klein, as a personnel matter, it typically be done in an executive session,
Okay,
where we can just discuss where we're at, candidates that may have applied, and what our options are going forward.
okay,
As a critical department to the county, we can have that discussion, again, as a personnel matter in executive session.
okay.
great, thank you. Now we're adjourned.
I'm good.
Okay.